Hey, what is up guys? I'm Xteria, and I am going to do a series of what I learned is the strongest thing to play in set 16 PBE. And the reason why I'm doing this is because in the PBE servers itself, there's patches almost every day, if not every other day. This means that if you're watching this video a couple days later, the info in this video is probably already outdated. So if you want to keep up to date with all the info, consider hitting that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the info. And if you're trying to look for a video of how to play set 16 or what's the gimmick, or what are the highlighted traits and stuff like that, then you can check out Leduc's video. It'll be in the description below because he explains everything perfectly. Getting right into it, the strongest things to play in set 16 PBE, specifically day 1, would be Shurima. And the reason why this is probably the strongest synergy is because you gain tons of stats over time. So this means that the longer the fight is, the stronger the unit gets. And the main unit we're going to be talking about here is Azir. This unit is actually super good in general, not for his ability damage, but mainly because of his Emperor synergy, where you're able to summon 2 more units on top of that. So if you throw out Azir, you're basically throwing out 3 units on the board. And the extra 2 units that you do throw out are basically extra frontline units, so you have extra tank on the board. What makes Azir really good is that you're able to unlock the other 2 units, which is either Noxus or Renekton. These units are actually super powerful in general as frontline units, that if you get an Azir early enough, you're basically winning out the game in general. And in order to unlock either Noxus or Renekton, you have to win 2 rounds in a row for either one. So if I remember correctly, in order to get Noxus, you have to lose 2 rounds in a row, and then Renekton is you have to win 2 rounds in a row. If you want to get Xerath, which is kind of weird, this emblem, yes, I know it's hard to see, but it is Xerath, you have to alternate for 4 rounds, win, loss, which, you know, honestly, I feel like it's not even worth it to do, so don't even worry about having Xerath on your board. Unless you really want to play him, go for it. But what makes Shurima very powerful in general would be the unit Ryze in general. And the reason why is because, yes, there is a lot of text, and the reason for that is because he's able to enhance his ability depending on what you have on the board. So if you have Shurima active, his ability can basically also stun at the same time. And what his ability does is he throws out like a single target magic damage ability, and it splits apart over time. So he's able to do single target first, and after that single target lands, it splits into 2, so he hits 2 more targets, and then if I remember correctly, I think that second hit also splits again. I could be wrong, but technically saying he does hit 3 units at a time. So this means that Ryze is just going to be CCing units left and right if you have Shurima on the board. And in order to unlock Ryze, because he's an unlockable character, you have to field at least 4 region traits for 1 combat. And the best traits you can throw out would be something like Targon, because Targon only counts as 1 synergy throwing out any of these units, so it doesn't really matter. And play whatever synergies you can on top of that. Like for example, maybe Demacia or Yordles or Ionias, Noxus, so on, until you can have Ryze unlocked. To summarize all this, basically saying the strongest thing to play right now is Ryze with Shurima. Another thing that's also really powerful for day 1 set 16 PBE would be Aurelion Sol. And funny enough, he also has a lot of text as well. To summarize him, basically every time he casts, he gains stacks, and you want to hit max stacks because he basically just deletes everything. And to equate his power, once you do hit max stacks, which is 1200 stacks for him, he's basically as strong as if a 4-cost unit is level 3. Every time I've seen Aurelion Sol with max stacks, they always went out. They're just so powerful on him. And in order to get Aurelion Sol, because he's an unlockable character, you have to field at least 5 Targon units, and those units would be Aphelios, Leona, Zoe, Diana, and Taric, which is actually really easy to get all of them on a single board. It's not hard at all to play this comp in general. I would say it's probably like one of the easiest high damaging comps you can play. And you may notice that Diana is also an unlockable character, and it's actually really easy to unlock her. All you have to do is just field a 2-star Leona with 3 items, and most of the time you kind of want to look for tank items anyways, so all you have to do is just 2-star Leona, put items on her, and you're able to unlock Diana. That's it. I would say the best time to do this is probably late stage 3 and early stage 4 if you want to get max stacks on ASO. Other than that, just play whatever looks cool with Targon and you're basically set for this comp. Another unit that's very powerful for day 1 would be Nidalee, and the reason why she's actually super powerful is because of her other trait, which is Huntress. And what Huntress does is Nidalee becomes untargetable if your Nico is still alive. So in order to do that, you have to cheese it to where you put Nico in the corner, you put 2 ranged units like around her, so she can't get out of this corner. So this allows Nidalee to just jump around freely without getting attacked at all whatsoever. In order to get Nidalee, because she's an unlockable character, you have to have at least two 2-star Nikos on the board. So you have to roll a little bit at level 6. And at that point, you might as well do 3-star Nico if you want to. But I would suggest to maybe just skip out an idea and fast 8 so you can play for level 2 Nidalee. So she can just one-shot everything. And this also allows you as well to get Skarner because they're both Ixchos as well, Nidalee and Skarner, that you have one of the best melee AP units and you have almost one of the best tank units out there. Skarner is actually really cracked because he does a really good stun ability. So he just picks up units and just holds onto them while Nidalee just jumps around killing everything. In order to unlock Skarner, you have to have Gargoyle Stoneplate on a non-tank unit. So most of the time when you're playing this, you probably want to put Gargoyle Stoneplate on a Kiana because she's also Ixchel. So if you want to play Nidalee with Skarner, force Gargoyle Stoneplate to unlock Skarner. And to cheese it out, just put Nico in the corner with ranged units on her. That's basically about it. A unit that's actually very powerful in day 1 that I've seen that does tons of damage would be Ambessa. This unit is just so strong in general because she's able to dash around everywhere and just hit almost everything on the board. And her synergy Vanquisher is actually pretty good in general because it basically gives her free IE. To equate this synergy, it's basically like Executioner from set 15. And not only that she does tons of damage, you also have probably like one of the best synergies in the current time of day 1, and that would be Noxus. Noxus just summons Otacon, so it's like a summoner synergy class. And this summon in general is super tanky with tons of damage. And speaking of tanky, Noxus also has really good tanks like Scion. If you want to play level 3 Scion, you can. This unit is just so tanky that it's super hard to kill this unit. If not, if you don't play for level 3 Scion, then you can play the other best tank, which is Swain. And Swain is actually really powerful as well because he gains a lot of health back and he's also Arcanist. And he is also a Juggernaut with Briar that you play anyways. So you have Juggernaut active with the Noxus trait. You may notice that Darius is an unlockable character and is pretty easy to get. Same with LeBlanc. There's really no point in explaining it. And if you are going to play Ambessa, you're going to get Mel anyways, almost like no matter what. So if you're looking to play like an easy comp of just vertical trait, then Noxus will be it. Another really powerful unit of day 1 would be Sylas. This unit is actually super cracked in general because he has basically J-Force Cataclysm. And this ability is just J-Force ulti. He's able to stun them and do tons of damage with this ability. In order to get him, which is kind of tricky, you have to sell a level 2 J4, which is a 1-cost unit, and you have to sell a 2-star Garen and a 2-star Lux, which they're both 4-cost units. So in order to get this unit, you have to spend a lot of money, and you have to sell them afterwards. But the end result is kind of worth it, is because you can play with full Defender comp, and Defender is basically the Bastions of set 15. The reason why you want to play full vertical Defender with Sylas is because he gains a lot of shield anyways with Lux's ulti, which is Final Spark. And most of the time he casts both Cataclysm and Final Spark. And then once in a while, he summons Demacian Justice. It's basically RNG. He does use all 3 of these abilities at certain times, but for the most part, it's mostly Cataclysm that I see that he does in almost every fight scenario. And because he's an Arcanist, you can also play with Annie. And Annie is actually very powerful because she wounds as well. So basically, she has a built-in Murloc. So you don't really need anti-heal on the board if you're going to play for both Annie and Sylas. And the good thing about Annie is she also has Dark Child, which can play Tibbers as well on the board. But Tibbers counts as a unit though, compared to Azir. Azir doesn't count his soldiers as units, but Annie does count Tibbers as a unit. So if you do hit level 9, you can play 4 Arcanists because you have Tibbers, Annie, Sylas, and then level 9 you have a +1 space. You can throw in a 4th Arcanist to have 6 Defender and 4 Arcanist. But you can use Sylas however you want. This is just a comp that I recommend of playing. And the final thing we're finally gonna get into that is one of the strongest things to play of set 16 PBE day 1 would be Zaahen. And in order to get Zaahen, you have to have Xin Zhao with the champion augment. So in order to get this unit, you have to get the augment for it basically. But not only do you have to get the augment, you also have to 3-star as Xin Zhao and play him for 5 rounds. So it's almost forever to get Zaahen, but the end result is really worth it because he's super powerful. And this is the augment itself. You gain a Xin Zhao, your strongest Xin Zhao consistently strikes nearby enemies and executes them, which is pretty powerful because Xin Zhao is a tank unit, but he's also a tank unit that does tons of damage. So if you see this augment, I would suggest just click it right away and just play this unit because this unit actually does tons of damage. And that's basically about it for what I learned of the strongest things you can play in day 1 set 16 PBE. If you have any questions about certain things, I may not be able to answer it, but I'll try my best. Just let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll try to answer the best of my capabilities. If you want to catch me live, you can check me out either on Twitch or YouTube. Either one's fine. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.